Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pleased to take a call on part one of the bill. Mr. Chairman, I would have thought that addressing the needs of vulnerable children would not be a matter of intense contest, that it would be an area in which this Parliament would come together and work collectively to find the best solutions possible that are consistent with the nature of knowledge, the nature of science, and the nature of practice to make those kinds of changes. And whenever this government has come up, over the 6 years I've been in this House, of any sensible idea to do with addressing the needs of the vulnerable and the not so well off, this opposition has supported those ideas, always supported those ideas. However, that's not to say that the proposals that the Minister brings before the House are perfect. We will support the good projects, but the approach, and we support this particular one as well, and we have supported it throughout the process of Select Committee, first reading Select Committee, and now in the third reading. But this approach has major shortcomings, and we want to expose those. And by exposing those shortcomings and attempting to improve the bill ought not to be a matter of the kind of personal attack that we got from the Minister a little while ago in response to the speech given by Jacinda Ardern. I want to remind the Minister of this story, because this fundamentally shows the Minister's own shortcomings in her thinking around this. And the officials know what the knowledge is about. They'll give her a lesson on what that knowledge ought to be and where it leads. There is a man fishing. And as the man is fishing by the riverside, the man sees a child drowning. So he jumps in and saves the child. Resuscitation, and the child's fine, child's on his way, and the young man starts fishing again. In a little while, there is another young child coming down in the same state. The person saves that one as well. Then there is a third one. And then there is a fourth one. What the person does do is find somebody else to save the ones that are coming down the stream, but goes upstream. And the people watching saying, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm going to go upstream to stop the person who's pushing these children into the stream." And that is a very simple analogy that explains the views that Jacinda Ardern was taking. Is the Minister incapable of doing both? Rescuing the children who are the most vulnerable, at the same time go upstream and stop those processes that are pushing these children into the stream? Because any sensible policy would do both things. It's called primary, secondary and tertiary intervention. It's well written about, Minister. And yet, in the Minister's own response to Jacinda Ardern, what she was showing is the politicisation of this particular issue that this Minister and this government has taken. They have politicised these issues in this way, Mr. Chairman. They have simply looked at the headline-grabbing events, headline-grabbing kind of ideas that would somehow show to the Minister's own supporters that we are doing a great deal. In fact, they are not doing a great deal. And these policies will not change fundamentally the outcome for vulnerable children. What Jan Logie and Jacinda Ardern and Sue Moroney have just been talking about is that there is a whole complex of factors that have to be addressed. And Part 1 does not address those complex of factors. And that's what we are trying to point out, Minister. And it does not deserve the kind of personal attacks by you. It is not sexy to talk about the fundamental causes that lead children to vulnerability. It is probably sexy in her frame that actually gets others to somehow see that they're making a fundamental difference. In fact, they are not. It's much more integrated to look at both the provision of services to those who are most vulnerable right now, and to ensure that those who are becoming vulnerable, at risk of becoming vulnerable, are also prevented from entering that stream. And this does not do that. So when we have a look at Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Question be now put.
I'll hear Jacinda Ardern.
Mr. Chair, it's a shame that my colleague was unable to finish his address, but I'm very pleased to take another call on